This Perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 6 of Pantheon, and we're getting close to the finale of this first season, and man, this shit just keeps getting crazier and crazier. But before I get into this review, I want to let it be known, it's not going to be my typical review that I'm used to putting out. You know, there won't be any real visuals, technical difficulties, whatever. I didn't want to have to sit there and wait, you know, X amount of time. I have a set schedule, so I want to try to meet that schedule because I got a bunch of other stuff to get to. So with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoy the content and you're enjoying these reviews. I'm going to do my best to just break everything down in this episode. So a lot just happened in the previous episode. You have Caspian trying to get Carrie to safety or somewhere where they can treat his wounds. There's something on that I want to get to later on in this review because I found it kind of interesting, and it's just like you gotta kind of suspend your disbelief, you know what I'm saying? Because in real life, you know, Carrie would probably been dead, you know what I'm saying? Because they were driving around for a while, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, going back to Carrie and Caspian is just like had his whole world just blown up. On the other side of things, you have you have Maddie, Ellen, Lori, and David all kind of talking about like, what can we do? Can we really trust this dude Caspian? We really don't know who we can trust. And at the same time, you know, you have Caspian and Carrie having kind of like a father-son moment where, you know, Carrie's bleeding out, and no matter how Caspian feels about all this, you know what I'm saying, he still acknowledges him as a son, you know, and that was really touching. I honestly, like, you know, that was really an emotional moment, and he responded back to him like, Dad, like he was really concerned, you know what I'm saying? He's having all this stuff happen to him, all these people that he thought were his actual family are actually just fake, you know what I'm saying? So while this is all going on, you know, everybody's trying to figure out what they can do. You know, David is trying to kind of just wait things out, but they don't have time. Time is not on their side. You know what I'm saying? Lori is getting worse by the episode, I should say. You know what I'm saying? So they have to figure out how to fix this flaw. And they think that Caspian could be the key to that, considering he is the clone of Stephen Holstrom. Interesting stuff about Stephen Holstrom, though. We're going to get into that as well. So now you have, on the other side of things, while everything is happening, Shonda, which, you know, he was the guy that got kidnapped, and you already know the story. You know what I'm saying? He is an interesting character because his motivations are very villainous, where he kind of sees himself as the hero. He thinks he's doing right. And those are always the really fascinating villains, where he wants to create this perfect world that he can kind of rewrite, and people don't die of sickness, and just, you know, people can live here in freedom and all that stuff. They don't have to be locked up in these cages and these different programs and stuff. That dude is fascinating. I don't trust him worth a shit, and you'll find out why in this episode. So while this is going on, they finally decide to meet up with Caspian to help with his father. And this was a really interesting exchange, you know, because usually when you meet your online friend, it's exciting, but, you know, Caspian and Maddie kind of have this like weird, kind of awkward stare down, you know what I'm saying? Ellen doesn't really trust nobody. I really like Ellen. Ellen is like the mom of the year with this shit, bro. She's a really dope character. I think she's my favorite character, aside from like Caspian or Maddie or something like that. So they finally link up, and Maddie tries to convince Caspian to kind of help with her father and whatnot, because he's kind of in disbelief, but she already knows everything about him because they read all his files and everything. And Caspian's like world is just being completely blown up. Like literally, he's going through these files, you know, all the different files and whatnot, He sees his birth, and this motherfucker came in a bag, bro. That's traumatizing. It's one thing to be, like, adopted, but it's another thing to be a clone. That's a completely different beast. So, I can't even comprehend what Caspian's going through in his mind. And seeing the breakdown of just where he got the name Gage from, and how the original Stephen Holter's actual name was, like, Phineas, and how he kind of switched it to Caspian, how, like, that whole Narnia reference comes back into play, and it's just all starting to connect, and it's wild. Like, my reaction was like the same as Caspian all throughout this episode. Like, wow, my mind's being blown right now. But how Shonda pretty much comes into contact with everybody is because Lori got into contact with Shonda's mother, and that was like a no-no. And they start to kind of see exactly what he's planning out. And what he did was some of the dumbest shit, but, like, he thought he was in the right. He thinks what he's doing is right. He started giving the blueprints of Prasad's machine thing to upload people to all the different military, like, you know, superpowers, you know, the Mossad, MI6, everything. That's crazy. So there's going to be a catastrophic, like, kind of technological kind of warfare going on, or something like that. This shit's gonna go left. Caspian just dips because this is just way too much for him to handle. But I do like in the scene, I think my favorite scene is when Caspian and Maddie are sitting there talking to one another, talking about their experiences with their parents, and, like, their pros and cons, and what they can kind of relate to, where Caspian's like, yo, I came out of a machine, and Maddie's response to that is like, my dad's in a machine. So it's just like, we're both kind of stuck in a kind of sticky situation. I don't know what's good with Carrie right now. I don't know where he could possibly be at. Julius is also another interesting character that we kind of see his vulnerability. You know, he's kind of feeling disappointed and let down because he was entrusted with this whole entire company, and it's all kind of going to shit. Like, everything's out there, and I'm curious to see how they're going to wrap these last 2 episodes up, because with Shonda leaking out everything, those blueprints to all those different, you know, cyber tech or, like, military forces and stuff, that's going to be a huge problem. And also those dead uploads, you know what I'm saying? We don't know who they are. They're just, like, people that Prasad, like, picked up off the street, but they weren't able to upload them, so that's why they kind of look that way. That's kind of a loose explanation of it, but you know what I'm saying. But I really like everything with Caspian, just, you know, his emotion just being just completely frustrated, just like, yo, my whole life is a lie. But I feel like he's going to end up coming back because it's definitely big. It's a lot bigger than him. You know, it's a lot of pressure on him as well. And he doesn't want to deal with it. So it's going to be interesting to see where these last few episodes go, or last couple episodes, I should say. Also, before I forget, Lori and David were talking about merging 2 uploads into one entity. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they're going to tease that towards the end, or that's going to be like kind of the end game, because they have been kind of teasing certain things. Like, I could see a scenario where, you know, at the end of all this, they end up losing Lori and David. They kind of have to move on, but then Cody and Ellen are going to start getting closer. That's why I see, because, like, Cody's getting a little bit too close, you know what I'm saying? A little too close. He's getting a little touchy-feely, you know what I'm saying? But let me know how you guys feel about this episode. Hopefully I kind of covered the gist of this episode. You know, I'm excited. I will definitely be back next week with episode 7. I cannot wait. This show has been just phenomenal from start to finish. More people need to watch it. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.